All right, so let's start moving our character around. And outside of your class in the game scene, we're going to set up some enum variables, and we're going to call these direction. We're going to put in here that they're int types, but that really doesn't matter because we're not even going to give them a value. You could say case left equals 0, well, actually, even from that point on, you could just start writing right, up, down, and so on. Right and the code would know that right's going to be 1, up's going to be 2, but we don't even have to do that because we're really just kind of setting a value and then just checking it, but the raw value doesn't matter to us. So in our if statements, we're going to say if, for example, current direction equals dot left, then we're going to do something or other, right? And the nice thing about these enum types is they are available to other classes. So if I go over here to my player class right now, I could go and write var current direction, and then we just specify that it's going to be that direction type, and then I can put in here either equals direction dot down. You can see all the options inside of here, or you can be lazy and just not even write the direction in front of it. So you can just write dot none. So that's something that's a variable that we're going to set every time you swipe with the either on the screen or with the tvOS remote. So let's go ahead and set up our swipe gesture recognizers. I am inside of the declaration for the class itself here. I'm going to write, and actually I can just write let swipe right and then rec just for recognizer. UI swipe gesture recognizer, and we're going to set up all 4 directions the same way. So I'm just going to do a little copying and pasting. Left, up, down, and then we're also going to set up a tap general selection. This is what this is going to be a UI tap gesture recognizer. And if you were to actually push into the touchpad on the Apple TV remote, this would occur. We're not really doing much with it, and we're doing so little with it actually that if you're on iOS, we're just going to basically either comment out this code or let it get ignored because not that much essential happens. And both of these are going to do the same thing, whether you hit the general selection or you tap that play pause button. Apple does recommend that if you to not let your play pause button go unused. So if you don't have anything better for it to do, just let it do the tap general selection, or yeah, whatever the same thing would be. So let's come down here and set these up. Come right over here. We're going to write swipe right rec dot add target self, and the action is going to be the function name whenever we swipe right. So at some point soon, we're going to have to go down there and write that function. Here's where we specify the exact direction. That's going to be dot right. Don't, oops. This is, don't let this don't get confused with what we just put over here. It's not the same enum type. It's a different one for setting up the direction. And then we need to actually add the gesture recognizer to the view. So we're going to add gesture recognizer, and then we just write swipe right rect, and we get to do that for all of our other ones too. So get your cut and paste fingers ready. Swipe left, swiped up, down, I don't know why am I doing this? Just copy and paste these from my notes. And there we go. Fast pass. Okay, so again, we do have to put in those functions. And while we're copying and pasting things, let's go ahead and just put in the ones for the TV, the press select, and the tap general selection and the tap play pause button. You can see it's set up the same way, add target self. So this is the function that's going to get called. It's going to call the same function for both of them. And then allowed, you got this new property, allowed press types, and then you put in here NS number, and then inside of parentheses, you write integer, UI press type select dot raw value. And this is just basically pointing out, that's the selection of the remote, touchpad, and this is the play pause button right here. So we've got a few functions to set up, and let's go ahead and do that. Get this one out of the way. Okay, we are set up. Now, we just have to figure out what we're going to do with the character when you do all these things. So when we swipe right, let's write character, or I'm sorry, it's the player dot go right. Now we don't actually have a function in the class yet for going right. We'll put one in there in just a moment. Then we're going to write go left, swiped up. Let's call jump, and then the player dot stop jump. And we'll make it so that basically if you are jumping up and you swipe down, it'll essentially cancel out that jump action. So this will get us started. Let's go over here to our player class and put in those functions. So I'm not writing at the bottom of the screen. Let's come over here. Okay, go right. That'll solve one of our little errors up there. One missing function. Go left. Jump. And then finally stop. Jump. Okay, now got a lot to do. We are going to make our character run or go anywhere, basically, left or right via the update statement. So we do that by typing in here function update, and we need to have something else that basically calls this. Okay, so inside of here we'll say, well, I could go ahead and just type it out. We'll take our character, or I'm sorry, self dot position is going to equal cg point make, and it would be just a little example, self dot position plus, let's say, current speed. So that's going to be for on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis we're just going to leave that to be at we're not going to add anything into the y-axis. All right. And what's the problem here? Oh, right. Current speed. We got to set that up. Come over to the top. Current speed. And I've already forgot what I initially set the current speed as. Okay, yeah. 4. CG float is going to equal 4. All right. But there's nothing that is currently calling this update statement to run. So let's go back over here to our gamescene.swift file, and you'll notice it already has inside of here an override func update statement. And what we're going to do is take our character, or I'm sorry, the player, I keep forgetting his name is the player, dot update. And now, anytime the game scene is running its update statement, we're also going to call update on the player. Nice thing about this is that if the scene is paused, and you can pause your scene anytime by writing something like self.paused equals true, that's going to pause this update and also pause the player update at the same time. So that's kind of a good example of how you want your things to be running. You know, if the main scene's running, your player's going to be running. If not, it's not running. Okay, so go back over here to our player.swift file. Well, you know what? This is actually a place that we could test, so let's just try to at least see something happening here. We'll move our position. Let me make the Apple TV a little bit smaller now. It is a bit big. And you can see our player does just kind of run off aimlessly to the side there. Okay, it would be a good idea to trap that update statement in a if statement. So we're going to say current direction is going to equal dot left. So if that's the case, we're going to do one thing, and then else if current direction equals right, we're going to do another thing. And you can imagine it's just a matter of subtracting the current speed or adding it. Okay, so if we're going left, we are going to subtract the current speed, and if we're going right, we're going to add to it. And now let's go over here to our go right statement. So if we swipe to the right, then our current direction is going to equal dot right. Otherwise, current direction is going to equal dot left. And at this point, we should be able to make our character go one way or the other. Okay, so initially he just falls down, right? Let's get the remote open and learn the hotkey for that. It tends to close itself quite often. Click into here and then hold down the option key to either go left or right, left or right. Perfect. Except for one slight little issue. He's not looking the right way, is he? So to deal with that, we just have to set that scale, and we're going to write over here self.xScale is going to equal 1 if you're going right, and then -1 if you're going off to the left. Okay. Now let's worry about getting this guy jumping. So to do that, we've got to run our jump action. So we're going to come over here and write self.run action, jump action, and then remember that's just the animation. Don't forget the exclamation point there. Then I'm also going to create a new action over here called let move. There we go, sk action, and this is going to be equal to sk action dot move by x, and I'm not going to move them at all on the x-axis because we're most likely we're already doing that down here, but on the y-axis, this is going to seem like a lot, but I'm putting a lot in here to counteract gravity essentially. So I'm going to put in 600, and then I'm going to put in here a duration of 1. And then write self.run action move, and then I'm going to put in here with key, so I can actually identify this particular action later when I want to cancel it out by this key value. And since we're right over here already, let's go ahead and just write self.remove action for key jump, and that would halt him jumping right away. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about toggling the I'm not going to worry about setting the current direction to .up for right now, okay? But I am going to set this for stopping the jump. So if we stop the jump, so basically swipe down, I am going to make it set to be down, and then it's going to pause basically running at that point. And the reason I'm not setting the up is because when you're running, right, and you swipe up, most likely you want to keep running at that point. And I think you'll see that that makes sense. Okay, so go over here, swipe up, swipe up. Now he's got that little kind of double bounce going on there. A little bit of that is due to just the character being bouncy and the ground being a little bit bouncy, but most of it is because he's still got some leftover jump action to him, still got a little bit more pull up to him based on the move action, even after gravity pulls him back down. So the action is still kind of pulling him back up. So what we really want to do is test to see if the character collides with anything after the jump, and then if so, we're going to stop that jump. And that gets into a whole other bunch of things. We're going to set up the SK Physics contact delegate. We're going to start making it so that we detect when certain physics category masks collide with each other, and I think all of that is best going to be done in the next video.